everybody, thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Watch for a detailed look at your Colorado weather forecast. I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Obviously, we are looking at a very busy day today with some of that snow already flying for some of us, and it hasn't started yet. Probably got another hour or two until it begins. By the way, for those of you joining us on Facebook, if you type in your comments in the comments below, your questions in the comments below, I will try and answer as many of those as possible. All right, let's start things out by taking a look outside. What are we looking at Denver right now? You look off in the distance, you might notice it looks a little extra gray, especially on the left-hand side of your screen. That's the upslope winds that are going to lead to our snow today. Getting those winds backing against the mountains forces the air to rise, and the result is snow. And that's why the foothills right now seeing some flakes flying. Meantime, downtown Denver, not yet. I'll show you the radar in detail in just a second. Meantime, winter storm warning in place for Denver. By the way, our second winter storm warning of the winter season, second so far this month. And we are going to be looking at the potential here for 4 to 8 inches of snow in Denver. I'll have more details on our forecast here in just a second. And then as we look into the mountains, 5 to 10 inches of snow, but a winter weather advisory up that way at this point. All right, so the radar imagery reduced to have those first flakes, as I mentioned, are starting to fall for us. So if you're joining me from, say, the west side of Fort Collins, Lyons on south into certainly Boulder, Evergreen, Morrison, that's where you're probably seeing those first flakes flying at this point. By the way, the mountains west of Vail Pass getting in on some of that action as well here on this Wednesday, and that is great news. We really do need the snow up into the mountains, so don't want to overlook the fact that the mountains are getting some snow, and that is great, and I mean great news up there. Now, as we look down into the Denver area, starting to see, as I mentioned, the west side of the metro area getting those upslope winds. That's why things already starting to get going into Boulder, maybe the west side of Arvada, Golden, Evergreen, seeing some snow as well, and down to Conifer and Bailey downtown. Nothing yet, I-25 on east, but I'm actually looking outside our window here at Spear and Logan, downtown Denver. No snow for us yet, but trust me, it is a-coming, and it will be snowing pretty heavily by about 5:30 or so here in Denver. So, by the way, Leanne, thank you for writing in, saying it's snowing in Fort Collins. So, getting some of those real-time reports. By the way, if you got a report as well, feel free to write that in, and I'll try and answer those as quickly as possible for you. All right, so as I mentioned, right now it's not snowing. By about 2, 3 o'clock, you'll see the snow certainly in place for us here into Denver. The heavy stuff doesn't really kick in until right around here, around 5:30. That's when that snow will start to stick pretty quickly for us here into the Denver area. And so I've been saying this all day long here, folks. And this is my big point of emphasis. If you've got in the Denver area, doctor's appointment, a grocery store run, something you got to do it now. And if you're off the roads by about 5 o'clock tonight, you'll be generally okay. It will be snowing 3, 4 o'clock, but the snow on the roads probably doesn't really start to stick until about 4, 5, maybe 6 o'clock or so here in Denver. So again, the earlier, and by the way, you have the weatherman's approval. You need to get off of work a little bit early because of the weather. The weatherman said so. You can go ahead and tell your bosses, your significant others, your whatever it is. You talked about that. It is okay. Trust me, you're going to want to be off the roads by about 5, 6 o'clock or so, because that snow will come down fast and furious, and it's long done by tomorrow morning. Then we, by the way, got a beautiful weekend ahead. More snow next week, but let's focus in on the here and now. All right, so Denver for us, right? We're talking about the snow that will move its way on into the next hour or so. We'll start to see those first flakes flying. By about 3, 4 o'clock, it's starting to stick in a lot of areas, and I think by about 4 or 5 is when it starts to stick onto the roads. That's, again, we got the sun angle right now, so once that sun starts to go down, we lose some of that sun angle. That's when that snow will really, in earnest, start to stick for us. That snow, heavy at times, the worst of it between about 5 and 10 p.m. tonight, and then by tonight, late tonight, between about 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. is when the snow winds down for us here in Denver, but not before. Several, and I mean several inches. And I'm going to have the snow totals for you here in just a second. I'm getting a lot of questions about how much snow. Here's a look at it. How much snow can we expect? All right, let's walk you through these totals a little bit, right? And if you got a question, type it in below. I'm seeing some of those comments and questions rolling on in there, and I appreciate those. And appreciate, by the way, all of you for watching us here on this soon-to-be snowy Wednesday. All right. So I mentioned how it does look like we're going to be looking at the heavy snow working its way on into the picture here as we head over the next couple of hours. We are going to be looking at The highest totals on the west side of the Denver area, 6 to 10 inches plus. I wouldn't be surprised we get a couple of foot plus reports in places like Boulder, Golden, Evergreen, Conifer. That's where you're going to see the real heavy stuff for us. West side of Denver, seeing a question about Lakewood specifically. We're going to be looking at probably up there about 6 to 8 inches. Again, you get west of 25, very different story compared to what we see east of 225, east of 25 and specifically 225. So Aurora, DIA, Montbello, Green Valley Ranch, those areas east of downtown, even kind of Commerce City, I think we're looking at probably somewhere between about 4 and 6 inches, so a little bit on the lower side. But then you get from I-25 on west, and that's where I think downtown ends up right around 6 inches, maybe 7, 8 inches with a good band. And then you get west of there in Arvada, Lakewood, Morrison, Conifer, Evergreen, Golden, Boulder. That's where you're looking at those totals getting probably closer to about 10 inches or so. Louisville, Lafayette, Superior, probably in that 6 to 8 inch range. That sounds about right for you. And by the way, Crystal asking about areas west of Berthoud by Carter Lake. You're probably looking at a good 6, 7 inches up that way. And north side of the metro area, seeing some questions about Westminster, Thornton, North Glen. I do think probably in the window of about 4 to 8 inches is right. I think west of 25 will be fairly different compared to what you see east 25. So for north side of the metro area, as I mentioned, I think if you're on the east side of 25 there in North Glen, Thornton, you're probably looking at about 5, 6 inches compared to maybe 6, 7, 8 inches you get just to the west of there. So hopefully that helps you on out. Englewood, south side of the metro area, I think we're probably looking at a widespread 4 to 8 inches. I think Parker, probably about 4 or 5 inches should do it for you. Highlands Ranch, Littleton, Kim Carroll, a bit closer to about 8, 9 inches, especially as you get west on the kind of west side there of C470 is where you'll end up with some of the higher totals. Firestone, and again, northeast side of the metro area, that's where you're going to probably see the least amount of snowfall. The further north and the further east you go, the less those snowfall totals, so probably about 3 to 6 inches for us into Firestone. So hopefully it's giving you a good idea about what we can expect here as we head over the next couple of hours. Another key thing to kind of point out is these temperatures are on the cold side right now. Our computer forecast models, and this is getting a little in detail here, but hear me out. So the forecast models had it about 34, 35 degrees today. We are not going to get there here, folks. We have already probably topped out at our maximum temperature for the day, which is about 30, 31. The snow has not kicked in yet, and that will drop temperatures as it snows. Fun fact, by the way, when it snows, it pulls down colder air. So you really want to get nerdy about it, and I promise I won't get in more details about it than this. It's called dynamic cooling. So when you get as you go up in elevation, right, it gets colder. So if you, for example, were in a plane, it's obviously usually minus 20, minus 30 up at cruising altitude on a plane, right? So there's cold air above us. So when it snows, obviously that's a downward motion, and as it does that, it also pulls down colder air. So once that snow starts, it will pull in some colder temperatures than this. So point being, these are probably right around our high temperatures for the day today. And this is a little bit lower than what I think a lot of the computer forecast models were predicting. And I do think that may end up leading to some slightly higher totals for much of the metro area. So far this season in Denver, we've picked up officially about 25 inches worth of snowfall. We should get another 4 or 5 inches out of DIA. Central Park Station, maybe 6, 7 inches. And we'll certainly be adding to these totals and chipping away at our season-to-date snowfall deficit. By the way, more snow on the way for early next week, and it's going to be a much colder snow event. So early to mid next week, looking substantially colder than this current snow event. So worth keeping in mind that we are not done with the snow yet, although look at this weekend. And isn't this pattern amazing where we get these snow events, then those temperatures spike right back up, and then those temperatures cool right back down and get to the snow. So it's kind of snow, warm, snow, warm, snow, warm. This is the way it's been for the last little while. Fun fact, by the way, today included, 11 of the 16 days so far this month here in February have either had snow or temperatures at or above 50 degrees. So it's either been warm or it's been snowing. Warm, snow. And that pattern will continue as we head into the early part of next week. So hopefully it's giving you a good little overview about what we can expect here as we head over the next couple of hours. I know you're going to have a lot of questions about that. So let's see what we got here in terms of some goodies. And it's always weird to me on Facebook. I sound like a I don't know. I was going to say I sound like an old man. I guess I'm kind of getting there. Kate, Matt, Paige, thank you, thank you, thank you. A lot of thank yous. I appreciate all those thank yous. So thank you for the thank yous. That's getting redundant here. It feels like when you send back a thank you card after you get the first thank you card, at some point that has got to stop. But anyways, that's another aside. All right, Loveland, question about that. 3 to 6 inches should do it for you. Probably on the lower end in Loveland, especially on the east side of Loveland. And seeing Idaho Springs, still sunny. You're on the west side of the foothills there, so you're going to probably wait a little while longer in Idaho Springs and get some of that snowfall. And yeah, it looks like that should do it for all the questions. So hopefully I've answered all those for you. Again, many, many thank yous for joining on in, and hopefully stay safe out there. Get those errands done now. Go to the grocery store now. The weatherman told you to do that, right? Get it done now, and then you'll be A-okay. Have some chili tonight. Kick around the couch. Watch us here on 9 News. 9 News and chill tonight, and you'll be A-okay. So hopefully you stay safe, and tomorrow morning I would anticipate quite a few school delays, is what I would also anticipate. All right, have a great rest of your day. I'll be right back here on 9 News. Watch for another update coming up at 2 p.m., so stay with us here on 9